I keep trying to zoom out. Okay, so that's turning that one in. See, the secret people. Ooh, convince Caleb. Oh, let's check with Celia. Cool.
A vicar, huh? You a true believer, or do you just like the tithes?
Why, that's borderline offensive, Miss Ramnareem Wentworth. Of course I believe. The tithes are merely a well-earned bonus.
Yeah.
I met another believer once. Pushy type. He thought he'd been left behind for a reason. Thought he'd find some kind of cosmic truth in the wilderness. Got himself infected by a mantis and drowned in a sulfur pool. Some truth.
Can't get more brutally true than survival of the fittest. But don't mistake us all for blind fools. Intellect plays a large part in who stays among the living.
Glad to hear it.
Huh.
Could I get another advance, Mr. Nandi?
Just make sure it's properly logged.
Huh.
I'll note it next to the others, sir.
Hello,
Greetings,
Celia.
and welcome to Monarch Stellar Industries, producers and purveyors of the finest salt tuna in Halcyon. What can I do for you today?
You having money trouble?
Not at all. Mr. Nandi treats us all right and pays us well. I just spent most of my paycheck on Raptidon acid.
Do you normally blow your money on Raptidon parts?
Laws, no. Sometimes it's canid teeth, or mantis worm wings. Whatever Sebastian has in stock, really.
What? Why?
So I can talk to him, of course. He doesn't get going about much else. Sort of the strong, silent type.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, my apartment's kind of filling up with his stuff. And some of the neighbors are complaining about the smell.
Just ask him on a date.
I couldn't. What if he says no? Hey, maybe you could ask him for me. I mean, a no would still be bad, but it won't be quite as embarrassing if you ask. Oh, Mr. Nandi's doing that thing where he breathes through his nose real slowly. I'd better get back to work.
I kind of like you, Celia. What do you see in
He
Sebastian?
doesn't talk much, but he's got this quiet intensity, you know? Like there's stuff going on inside his head that you have no idea about. Plus, he's got great legs. It's hard to find a man who doesn't skimp on lower body exercises.
You really want to be with someone you can't talk to?
You think that's what I'm looking for? You're funny.
That's all I need to know.
Sorry, sometimes I get carried away.
Talk later.
Have you talked to Sebastian yet? What did
Can
he
I
say?
talk to you about the thing? Grim, yes.
You know, sending you is the first bright idea I've seen from that man, because I told him to stop bothering me about it a week ago. I still don't know anything about it, but if you want to help him, Velma's the one to ask. She's in the warehouse.
Okay.
But I'll warn you, Grim wore her patience thin a long time ago.
Okay. So I'll talk to her after I speak to, I think it's Caleb and the others? Thanks. I'll do that. Hi.
New business turns up at last. Celia, didn't I tell you our new statistics-based advertising model would be a hit?
That you did, sir.
How can yield improvements of 26.7% not quicken the pulse? How can 32% cost savings not moisten the loins?
Oh boy.
You've often posed these very questions.
Clear my schedule. This newcomer has a meeting with me.
No, you have a meeting with me. Yeah, just butter him up. Very generous.
Celia, will you make a note of that for my self-review? Very generous.
Noted.
But not so generous I can't drive a good bargain. Now, who sent you? Rizzo's, perhaps? Or Auntie Cleo herself?
I'm charting my own path, going where the wind takes
What
me.
a charming notion. One doesn't meet many free spirits in Halcyon. Not outside Tartarus prison, anyway. Forgive me, I'd be positively enraptured. Only, I take it this means you aren't here for Saltuna.
It could always be both. If I have to eat one more weird science project passed off as food in this sprat colony, I'm going to stab someone. I could always do both.
Now, there's no need to humor me. I'm used to this particular letdown. I had hoped that livening up our advertisements with enticing figures would draw the other corporations back to our bosom, but it seems we're back to the drawing board.
If you're free from the other corporations, why would you want to bring them back?
Surviving alone isn't as easy as it looks. Thanks to the so-called Hazard Clause, Monarch has been cut off from the board's resources and protection for 10 years now.
So-called is right. We've got our hazards, but we're still here, damn it. The board took off without so much as a thought for the folks left behind.
Something to be said for perseverance. I endeavor to persevere myself.
Now, we've kept ourselves in business by trading with individual corporations, but given the off-the-books nature of those transactions, such arrangements are precarious.
And you're tired of scrounging and scraping by? Sounds like you're freer than anyone else in Halcyon. Why not embrace it?
You talk like Graham.
Freedom always sounds nice, doesn't it? It makes a rather pretty slogan. But if you sit down and tally up the costs, how you provide for yourself in the absence of aid, how you protect yourself from a hostile galaxy, it starts to lose its shine.
Exactly. Intellectualism fuels the train to mankind's future, but the tracks the train runs on are forged from practicality.
I don't know what intellectualism means, but if someone's willing to build us a few practical things around here, I ain't gonna judge them on account of their beliefs.
Yes, it's as though the good vicar has plucked the very words from my brain.
You make a good point. So what do you mean to do about it?
Well, Mr. Nandi here has a rather ingenious plan to get MSI restored to the board.
On our terms, mind you.
Returning to the board is your only chance if you hope to survive here on Monarch. That doesn't mean it'll be easily achievable.
Indeed not. No worthwhile plan was ever simple. That's what I always say.
And if our advertising scheme hasn't borne fruit, then perhaps it's time we took matters into our own hands.
This lady knows what's going on.
It's true, our Celia is an alarmingly competent middle manager. At any other company, she'd be wasted in data entry. The plan she refers to is a two-pronged approach, and the first part involves seeing Stellar Bay properly defended.
How long did it take you to figure that you need to defend your city? Fine, but yeah, two.
Not long, but the devil is always in the details. And the salient detail here is a Bolt 52 cartridge. If you can get us what we need to rejoin the board, starting the Bolt 52, we'll be able to become one of the most productive and secure cities in Halcyon.
And you'll have a powerful ally on the board.
Bolt 52 sounds useful. What is it?
Why, one of the strongest defenses in Halcyon. An extremely powerful ordnance.
Why is this locked? Hold on. I'm actually going to Google this real fast, because that doesn't seem remotely appropriate. Outer Worlds Dialogue Option Lock. Previous dialogue opportunity you missed. Same dialogue option. Huh. Where do I find one?
In the old arms building southwest of town, which
It doesn't
used to
seem
be
like
part of
it's
Stellar Bay before we had to move our
specific.
walls in. These days it's overrun with marauders and raptidons.
Guess I'll go get your Bolt 52.
Do be careful. I've lost more than a few people to marauders and raptidons out there. Oh, and while you're at it, there should be a terminal in the arms building with some dangerous information. Perhaps you could delete it so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands.
Gladys may buy it. Ask you about
What can
something.
I do for you?
I met Grim, the
I
landing
see.
pad guard.
And was his delivery of the MSI authorized greeting up to snuff?
He did a bang-up job.
Well, that's excellent. I'll see that your feedback makes it into his review. What else can I do for you?
Isaac Rose is dead. I'm looking for the information
Hiram?
broker.
Why, he's probably still out at Devil's Peak. Not that he's had the courtesy to notify me, at any rate.
Okay, how do I
You'd
get to
head
Devil's
south
Peak?
along the road and look for a mountain to the west. Not that I'd advise it. It's a terribly dangerous trek. But I see you've met Nyoka. Anyone can get you there safely. It's her.
He just wants me out of his bar.
Ah. Isaac Rose is dead.
But that's terrible. What happened?
Elijah and his
I'm glad to
hooligans.
hear you've dealt with them. They've been causing quite a bit of trouble around town. I've been consumed with other matters of late, but I would have dealt with them. Eventually.
Of course he would have.
Of course I would have. Still, your intervention in the matter is much appreciated. Please consider this payment for your services.
Question about MSI.
Then
and
it's
the
good
old
that I
days.
keep such meticulous notes.
How did MSI get kicked off the board in the first place? Okay. You don't seem to think much of Graham.
He and his followers call themselves the Iconoclasts. Lawless anarchists, all of them. If anyone on Monarch deserves the reputation the board's pinned on us, it's them.
I will admit, I am keen to meet their leader.
Well, be careful what you wish for. Graham has a habit of ruining everything, and everyone around him.
You've got strong feelings
I'm
on the matter.
trying to build something here. They only want to destroy things, and they risk ruining Monarch for all of us. It isn't just that they drain our people and resources. Every radical act they commit cements Halcyon's image of us all as destructive rebels, and pushes us further from the rest of the colony. He's lucky the board doesn't take him seriously enough to keep more than a few UDL gunships patrolling Monarch.
An Earth Directorate assault cruiser would change his tune. It's almost a shame we haven't seen one around Monarch in a long while.
How did MSI get kicked off the board in the first place? Why exactly do you want back on the board? What's the hazard clause? Why do you want back on the board?
Why wouldn't anyone? They own nearly all the resources and infrastructure in Halcyon.
Without the board, chaos would overtake the system. Working within the established order isn't a principle to snub one's nose at, Captain.
Yeah, that'd go a long way toward rebuilding our homes.
To be on the board is to be part of the colonial community, and being cut off means slow strangulation.
Can't fault your practicality. Seems to me anything's better than the corporate yoke. Can't fault your practicality.
Indeed, we've got to consider realities, not ideals. If membership on the board can ease our hardships and provide us with opportunities, then that's the path I mean to pursue. Besides, I'm hopeful that additional leverage on our part will allow us a more equitable relationship.
Good for you. Force them to the bargaining table.
I've discovered it's much easier to negotiate from a position of power. And I don't mean to leave MSI or its people at a disadvantage. My hope is to maintain the reforms we've managed here, and who knows? Perhaps once we're restored, we could spread them to other corporations.
How did it get kicked off the board?
I've asked myself the same thing many times, especially seeing as the legal mechanisms we employed were part of the board's own bylaws.
You're getting ahead of yourself again. Do you mean that you initiated your own removal from the board? This is why you can't trust corporations and their so-called laws. You're getting ahead of yourself.
You see what I have to deal with?
For many years, this planet was home to as many corporations as Terra 2. Back then, it was known as Terra 1.
I see the board put their best people on that one.
Really? I always thought they were refreshingly straightforward names. After all, the whole point of terraforming was to make them Earth-like.
Here, though, the results were mixed.
That ain't fair. They didn't leave on account of the hazards. They left on account of their cowardice. The hazards just gave them a reason to put to paper.
Sharp as ever, Nyoka. And as the other corporations began to tally their losses, they decided to pull out.
But not MSI, right?
Our leadership at the time certainly wanted to.
And how did that work out?
Most regard Monarch as a lost cause. But there were others of us who saw an opportunity. The chance to improve working hours and conditions, to reform MSI from the ground up.
How forward thinking.
It's humane, but it's also good business sense. Exhausted, sick, and malnourished workers are not productive workers. Even a cursory review of the data bears that out. Anyway, we learned of a loophole in the corporate bylaws that would allow MSI to claim ownership of the entire planet once the other corporations pulled out, creating the perfect environment for us to enact these new reforms.
Using the board's own tools against them, clever. Who's this us and we you keep talking about? Take leadership didn't embrace your ideas. Number 2, you're using their tools against them, clever.
That's what I thought. But the senior executives laughed in our faces and insisted we'd be relocating to Terra 2 along with everyone else.
Yet here you are. Hope you gave them the finger. Guess you missed the transport. Yet here you are.
Yes, some of us stayed behind, and as the most senior executive remaining, I ended up in charge of what was left of MSI. I moved forward with our planned reforms, as well as our strategy to assume ownership of the planet. Yet not long after I renamed it Monarch, the other corporations dislodged us from the board and began an official campaign to paint us as lawless savages.
That's low even for them, yeah. You should... yeah, it's low.
I don't think I realized how far they'd stoop. Everything we did was legal and above board. We followed their rules, and yet they still found reasons to declare us outlaws. I do think there's something useful in a governing body like the board. Something that keeps us from anarchy, but I dearly wish it functioned differently.
Alright, what's the hazard clause?
Straight bullshit is what it is. A fabrication rich folks use to preserve their investments by leaving a lot of people here to die slow.
Nyoka has the right of it. It's a legal provision that gives the board the authority to cordon off any planet or location that it deems dangerous.
A necessary evil for the greater good of society.
That's exactly how the board describes it.
And they invoked it at Monarch. You sound skeptical. Sounds like a sensible restriction, actually. Sounds skeptical.
Monarch may be dangerous, but it's hardly the wasteland the board describes it to be. Whatever the board's goals, the greater good has little part in them.
Talk about something
What
else.
can I do for you?
I'll be heading out. Okay.
I don't mean to judge, but are you ever sober, Miss Remnarine Wentworth?
Only when I got a job to do. And even that ain't a guarantee.
Ah. Okay. So, Bolt with his name. Get into the arms building. What? Oh, no. Space crime continuum. Fistful of digits. Sound. Travel to relay. Oh, I'll get that at another time. Speak with Velma at the warehouse. Braxton. Okay, so go to Braxton, then Caleb. Okay. Whoa. Did not realize. Yes, excuse me. Hi, hello.
Whatever you do, don't mention Tossball to Isaac. You'll never hear the end of it.
You know, I haven't seen him in a while.
If you'd gotten stuck in an hour-long rant about mostly colonists...
What? Okay. I guess that was the right one? Hi there.
You startled me. Don't sneak up on a person like that, huh?
Wow, you've got big eyes. Looking for Braxton. Have you seen him?
Braxton. I've never even heard of a Braxton. Got nothing for you, sorry.
Relax, no one's in trouble.
Oh, in that case,
She has clearly been
he told me he was
on
delivering to
something.
this house in the ruins south of town. Whole family had fallen sick and he had some meds on hand. So maybe look for him there?
That's all I needed.
We're in agreement that this Braxton is probably dead, right?
Okay. Carry on.
Okay. I don't prefer to call people who are call out people who are strung out, just because you basically need to consider how volatile and hyper aware they are. Just like, nope. Okay, so that also takes me out of town. Talk to Caleb. Where's Caleb? 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 Oh, I can also talk to you.
You look like a man who's looking for some mostly fresh animal parts?
Sebastian, you ever get your hands on those pheromone sacs? Manipillars ain't gonna hunt themselves, you know.
I must have hunted a dozen, but I couldn't find a single sack on any of them. Must be looking in the wrong place.
Manipillars ain't got pheromone sacs. I just told him that so he'd stop asking me for advice.
At least I'm getting a good haul of claws in the process. You're in good hands, traveling with Monarch's top merc. Still, if you want any rat glands or manticlaws, I've got you covered.
Talk about Celia.
Huh. I haven't seen her in a few days, but I've been meaning to ask her how that Raptidon acid is working out. I hope it's working okay, because no one else really seems interested in this stuff.
Would you consider going on a date with her?
Wait, I see what's going on. She put you up to this so she could get a discount, hmm? Don't get me wrong. I'd like to give her a discount. She's a real fine lady. Always talks nice and slow, so I understand. But if I give her one, I won't hardly make a bit, on account of no one else having any use for Raptidon tongues.
Persuade Don't take my word for it. Spend some time with her. I promise she won't ask for a discount.
You sound pretty sure. And she is awful nice. Okay, I'll do it. Once her shift ends, we'll go someplace nice. Maybe to Chef Raymond's.
Alright. So, I'll turn that into her after this next bit. So Caleb's upstairs at the bar. That's a good sign. Hi. Oh. Oh, I thought you had a blindfold on. I was very confused.
New face, huh? You from Off-World?
Captain Taylor of the Unreliable.
A ship captain? Well, I'll be. Here, let me buy you a drink. Consider it an MSI welcome. Why don't you grab a chair, sit a spell, and revel with us?
What are you celebrating?
Me and my friends have taken our destiny into our own hands. We're untethered, free of responsibility and worldly cares. Well, as long as we don't run out of bits.
Yeah.
But until the windfall's gone, we're riding high. See, we just walked out on our work. Had enough, we did. So now we're striking.
What could be so bad to make you walk off the job?
It ain't any one thing but the sum of it all, having to work longer shifts for less bits. And the wages we do earn don't cover as much as they used to. Our supervisor, Velma, goes on and on about quarterly profits and meeting quotas. But that ain't what Sanjar promised us. Velma refuses to negotiate, so we're refusing to work. We won't go back until she agrees to pay us fair and proper. Us on Monarch, we're free from the board, you know? We have the right to lobby for better hours and pay.
We need to talk about her.
Sure thing. What did you want to discuss?
Soniar's going to fire Velma if you don't... I'm not going to do that. Tell you what, let me come out and in.
Why don't you grab a chair, sit a spell, and revel with us?
Talk about Velma.
Sure.
Okay. How long can you afford to miss work?
Not forever, but we've each saved up our bits, and I stashed them safe in my home by the diner. I reckon we could last a week or two at least.
I don't want to steal his bits. Any suggestions on how to put pressure?
If I knew that, I'd have tried it. Talking reasonably got me nowhere. Maybe you'll fare better. The others wanted to blackmail her, but we're above that. Besides, them are just rumors. We got no proof they're true.
What's this about blackmail now?
I would never endorse such an untoward tactic, you know, but, well, there's rumors that Velma's taking a cut off the profits. So far, it's just gossip, you know, but if there was any proof to be had, it'd be in the Saltuna warehouse, I reckon.
Talk
Sure
about
thing.
her.
What did you want to discuss?
See, I could say Sonyar's going to fire Velma, but then there's a few things that can happen. So it could turn out excellent, they just go back. They could hate Velma enough to just be like, oh, good, maybe I'll apply for the job. They could turn on Sanjar, and that could have all kinds of issues. Or it could be they go back and the truth is made clear, and then